A four-person crew, including Mike Betcher, David Tomchek, Brent Westbrook, and Gerald Jones of San Bernard Electric, were finishing work on a new three-pot bank. David and Brent were in a two-man bucket, and because of the way the bank was installed, they had to extend the bucket under the rack on the opposite side. While positioning the bucket, a mechanical malfunction occurred and the boom accelerated, striking the bottom of the rack, potentially severely injuring the men in the bucket. The men on the ground raced into action and shut off the truck's engine. The bucket broke over, and both men climbed to safety onto the rack. A second truck was dispatched, and the linemen were eventually rescued.
In 20 years, I've never seen any accident like this in my life. Myself, David, and Brent, and Gerald were all on the job site that day. We went out to this job site to tie in a three-pot bank on a rack. David and Brent were actually the ones in the bucket. Gerald and I were on the ground, probably 15, 20 feet away from the truck. We had the trucks all set up. It's kind of backwards the way we had to do it because they have a building, so we put all the leads on the opposite side where it should be, transformers. So they had to go up underneath the rack to tie in everything.
They were about 3/4 of the way finished doing this, so it was looking like we were going to finish on time, and the day was really going to be a good day.
Brent and I had been working on the secondary side of the transformer, maybe a couple of hours. We got into position to pull in, tie in our last transformer. And we boomed up into under the rack.
And as they were doing that, the bucket malfunctioned and started raising up into the rack itself.
Got into position and stopped. When I let off the joystick in the bucket, it kept moving. And I can just remember feeling the pressure of my arm being crushed into the rack.
I was watching the guys in the bucket work, and then all of a sudden I heard like the bucket had bumped the rack a little harder than normal. And about that time I was fixing to call up to them to let them know that, hey, you're getting a little close, you'll be a little more aware. And I heard David yell out that I can't stop the truck.
I thought he was just getting us as close as he could get us. But then when I realized the joystick had jammed down from the rack, I was like, he ain't meaning to do this. That's when it set in. I was like, man, we might be in some trouble.
It pulled us into the transformer. My arm was pinned between the bucket and the transformer rack. All I can really remember is the rack, pressure, and yelling for help.
Transformers are just sitting up there. They're not bolted down. They're about 1,200 pounds apiece. They could fall on top of them, crush them.
The worst part of it was when I looked up and there was a 100 kVA transformer sliding towards my head. I've never been in a situation like that, and all I thought about was, you're gonna die.
Whenever the joystick did get hung up, that jib caught the I-beam, and that's what was actually, holding that bucket from just flat out cutting us in half.
I realized that the boom had started pulling back and actually starting to crush them inside the bucket. Proceeded to the lower controls of the truck to stop that upper boom. I knew that if I got to those controls, that truck would stop.
Mike and Gerald were running to do hurt man rescue. Gerald ran for the upper controls on the bucket. Mike made the decision to kill the truck at the ignition. They moved instantly, like it was clockwork, like their training taught them. When they heard me yell for help, they went into action. And all about that same time that he killed the ignition on the truck, or prior to the truck, reached over and was able to unbuckle the lanyards from the bucket. The bucket broke over, falling away from the rack, allowing us to be free.
All I could think was, this boom is gonna break. That much pressure, it's gonna snap here in a minute. And we're in it, we're gonna go down to the ground with it.
Brent crawled onto the rack. Brent talked me into climbing onto the rack, which we did.
I guess I could say they were rattled pretty good. Of course, you're on an energized structure. They were pretty upset.
The rack was making all kind of weird sounds and the transformers were moving back and forth. All I can remember is I was willing to jump. I told us I'm jumping out, I want down now.
We called for another truck to come get them down because it's about a 30-foot jump. And we kept telling them, do not jump.
It's like I said, everything they've been taught to talk to the victim. Everything's okay, help's coming. When the help did arrive, they were great getting us down. Well, I called my wife as soon as the accident happened and said, hey, kind of just giving you an update, what just happened. We had an accident. We're all okay. They're taking me to the hospital to be x-rayed, and she was at work at the time. And I told her, I said, just stay there and I'll let you know what's going on. And She came home that evening and we kind of just talked about it, told my kids, and you know, it was kind of rough telling them, you know, Daddy just almost died.
We train on bucket truck rescue every year, but then when something like this happens, they didn't even hesitate. They, you know, if they would have hesitated, it could have been a whole different, you know, outcome.
It very easily could have been a fatality, and a rather slow, painful one at that. So we were all very happy. The comforting part for me was that of all the time that you get the guys out there to do pole top rescue, bucket truck rescue, and they gripe about it, you know, it's boring, we've done this before. These guys paid attention and they didn't have to wait and think, they just acted.
I mean, if you can get anything out of this accident, you know, at any co-op or any utility company is just pay attention to your safety meetings. Take home what these guys teach you. I mean, if them guys wouldn't have paid attention in, you know, a class that Billy Goodwin or any other safety instructor gives, they may not have saved us.